Are you an internet firearms expert or a keyboard commando?
Then please get the hell out.
If you're serious about talking everything gun culture, then get ready. Load up that clip with those shells and put them into that fully semi-automatic assault rifle with the shoulder attachment thingy. This is the Armed Citizen Podcast live. What is going on, my Go Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast live. This is episode 97. We are just a few short weeks away from hitting episode 100, which should be fun. Didn't think we'd ever get to that benchmark, but we are live as always on YouTube and simulcasting as always over at GunChannels.com. And as I say every week, if you don't know what GunChannels.com is now, we really can't help you. So please crawl out from out of under the rock in which you live. I'm going to go ahead and put the link over there on the YouTube side. Come join us. The water's warm. We're inviting. You don't have to jump into the deep end if you don't want to, but there's always a deep end there, I promise you. It can get really deep at times. But no, if you're looking for a great pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment community, GunChannels.com is the best community out there on the interwebs. If you're new to firearms or new to the culture or the lifestyle and you have some questions, there's always people out there willing and able to help you in any scenario. If you're looking to become a creator yourself and you don't know how, there's always a great plethora of creators over there that are willing to help you in any way possible. And some of them are in the chat right now. But speaking of gun channels, let's go say hey to everybody over there in the chat. You got G-Webs, David Bowling's over there, the Pants, DTP, and Gizzard Gary. Over here on the YouTube side, we've got a nice little crowd building, and we want to welcome everybody. We've got Bucks out there, Gun Loving Grandpa, G-Webs, Mad Sexy's out there, Gizzard Gary, Ozzy Orsborn, Bark of the Moon. Let's see here, D-Temp's out there. Let's see here. Daniel Pfeiffer's out there. He's also the Gun Channels. Let's see here. John 12 Gauge, what's going on, brother? And you've got Gunpowder Beauty. Hello, hello. And who am I missing? Somebody. You got the Gun Clears. What's up, Rod? And I don't know if Shelly's with you, but if she is, hello. Joe Ziola's out there. What's going on, Joe? Andrew Faulkner, WB's out there. Southpaw's out there. Warsaw Patriot. William Keller, Mr. F&H, Jason Stewart, Ferrets with Guns. Yo, I like that name, Ferrets with Guns. 2 Live Moves out there, unknown users out there. If I missed you, then I'm sorry. But if you're new to the chat, new to the channel, welcome. We hope you enjoy the show. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put it in the chat room. Tag one of us in the panel, and we'll make sure we try to get those questions answered. If you want to email it, you can at the Armed Citizen Podcast at gmail.com. Or you can text it to the number above, which is 530-364-4678. We'll get those questions answered if we can. If you're listening or watching in replay and you have a question for any of us, go ahead and put it in the comments below, and we will make sure we get those as well. So before we move on to the topic, let's say hello to our illustrious, I don't know if it's illustrious or not, but we've got a panel. So from Texas, we've got That Guy's Wife. How are you doing, Arminthia?
I'm good. How about you? Thanks for having me.
Life is good. Life is good. A little hectic, a little tiring, but overall, life is pretty good.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us. From Kansas, we've got the Tactical Chicken himself. What's up, Gary?
Hey, not a whole lot. Thank you for the invite.
Anytime, my man. Anytime. Love having you. From Arizona, we've got the Godfather himself. What's up, G?
Hey, thanks for the invite.
You got it. And it's only 194 degrees in Arizona today. So he said it's pretty nice out there today. So, yeah. And from Texas, we have the Tactical Virus. The Tactical Leprechaun himself. Clover, what is up, my man?
You can thank me for keeping the Gun Channels pool warm because I drink a lot of cream soda.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you pee in the pool a lot.
Well, I wanted to infer that without, admitting it.
I'll go ahead and say it. Yeah. He's the guy that doesn't believe that they put the colored dye in pools. He tests that out on a daily basis. He also likes to eat baby roosts in the pool too. So just saying. So tonight we're going to talk about concealed carry. And obviously they know that most of you know that that is a big mission of my channel and my life is concealed carry. And you get questions all the time, email and asked and commented about different things. And a question that keeps popping up on different videos and emails is basically, how do you decide what gun and holster combination that you're going to carry each day? And there's a lot of us that do switch out guns, maybe not every day, but it is, a regular basis. I'll have a little rotation of 4 or 5 guns that I'll carry. And obviously there are going to be scenarios where we go somewhere or we're having to wear something that we normally don't wear that are going to kind of go into that decision making process. We decided to bring some friends in, and we're going to talk a little bit tonight about how we choose which gun / holster combination that we use. So let's kind of jump right in. Like I said, guys, if you're out there and you have questions or comments, please tag us out there. And Tim 18 Wheel says he has my patch on his cap. I appreciate you, bro. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. And John Craig Mile, I hope I don't butcher that. John Craig Mile says, howdy. What's up, John? I hope I didn't butcher your name. And Richard Chamberlain's out there. I hadn't seen Richard in a while, so welcome back, my friend. Welcome back. I hope everything's going good with your life. So let's kind of start out real quick with a general question to the panel and say, how many guns do you typically rotate? If you do rotate, how many guns are in your rotation for concealed carry? And we'll start with that guy's wife.
I actually only have 2 that are in my actual rotation.
Which ones are those, if you don't mind me asking?
I have the Ruger LCP, and then I've got the Taurus 38 revolver.
Did you say Thor's? I didn't know that Thor was making a revolver.
I probably just have him on my brain, though. No.
Well, my wife
You caught me off guard asking me questions first. Sorry.
All right. Gary, what about you? And you don't have to tell what you have in the rotation if you don't want, but if you do have a rotation, how many do you have and what are they if you want to answer that?
Primarily right now, 2. The main one being the Glock 42. And then in the summer months when I'm wearing a pair of gym shorts or something like that, I'll go down to the Taurus TCP, a little bit more lightweight of a gun that I can stick in a shorts pocket and doesn't drag it down as much.
There you go. G, do you have a rotation or do you kind of stick with 1 or 2 or what do you have?
Yeah, I'm here for more moral support today because I just have the 2 guns. I either carry both or 1, but I don't rotate guns.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. Now, Clover, I know you primarily carry 1, but I know that you do move in and out with some of them. So how many do you have in your kind of actual rotation?
Maybe 4. Well, I guess maybe 4 because I don't know. Just because some of them are open carry, but around here, it's okay to open carry. So if you just, and I like to wear outside the waistband anyway. So you just put a, some kind of cover, t-shirt or whatever over it. So it's concealed, but it's not concealed well in a lot of cases if you're talking about a full size. But yeah, I mean, the rotation stays the same. Couple of full size PPQ, for example, on down to a couple of 38 revolvers, and then the Glock 42 being the primary.
Yeah. And I guess we could talk a little bit about open carry because, we don't have to say it's all about concealed carry. It's just carrying. Like I said, a lot of people don't like to conceal carry. They like to open carry, which is fine as long as you're carrying. I'm all for that. We had a question text in from unknown user. He says, in your opinion, is a retention holster a must for open carry? And I would say for open carry, yeah, I would suggest, I don't say it's a must. I don't think anything's a must. It's a personal preference. But for me, if you're going to open carry, I think a retention holster is probably the best thing. And I'm not one of those that feels like people are going to walk up and try to steal your gun. But there are going to be people that might be at the grocery store that may not try to steal it, but they might want to start a conversation. They might want to try to touch it or whatever. And a retention holster in that situation for open carry, I truly believe is probably a smart thing. And we'll go back to the panel. We'll ask the panel. We'll start from Clover. Open carry, retention holster, yes or no?
Ultimately, I agree with you. So ultimately, no. And I think to add to what you were saying, I think that as far as it, maybe being a good idea, I think it also depends on the holster and how everything sits. If I'm carrying um, in a Kydex OWB that's really tight into my body, like say one of my bullseye holsters, um, that's a lot different than a paddle holster, something that's kind of sticking out. So my paddle holsters do have a retention with them. I've got a Phobos, I've got a Tagua. Can't remember which other ones I've got now. We all have a jillion holsters, but they have a retention, but they sit kind of off body a little bit.
Right.
With the ones that are really tucked into my body, I don't worry about it too much because I mean, somebody's going to have to literally grope me to get to it. So at that point, I know somebody is up to no good.
G, what about you? Retention holster for open carry?
Probably, but I don't think it's a must. Like you said, I don't think I can add much to it. I'm not too concerned about somebody's taking it. Probably more concerned if it's falling out if you're not paying attention to it.
Yep. Gary or Aminthia, do you guys have anything that you want to add to this one before I go into the second question?
No, because I'm going to have to look up a retention holster because that is new to me. So
Well, it's just something like you have to push a button or you have to do something. It's not just a straight draw. You have to do something to unlock that holster per se. Does that make sense to you?
That does make sense. And I've not actually open carried yet. Yeah, I'm not at that comfort zone yet. So.
Okay. Gary, how about you?
As for me, I don't open carry all that often either, but what I typically use is a Phobos paddle holster, and no, it doesn't have any retention on it. Should it? Probably, but it doesn't.
Yeah, for me, I don't open carry except for once a month, and that's on Every Second Matters, and I'll open carry, and I use an outside the waist paddle Kydex holster with no retention.
Hold on.
Like I said,
now retention, when you talk about it, there's like whatever 3 or 4 levels of retention.
Sure.
A holster is 0, but a Phobos has retention on the trigger guard, so it has retention. Type 2 or like the 3rd level or whatever the number is when you put like a strap over it, right? Like your old-fashioned holsters with like a leather strap.
That's leather ones. Yeah.
And then you got your cop holsters, police holsters, and stuff that require like a specific angle or maybe even a combination of manipulations to unlock it, sort of. So I would say your Phobos is definitely a retention holster, just not maybe a overt retention on the outside.
Yeah, just to go along with what he said, it's not a simple matter to pull my gun out of that holster. It has to be done with some deliberate effort to get it out of there.
Speaking of which, this is a Phobos outside the waist paddle holster. This is for my shield, I believe. I'm pretty sure this is for my shield. And but this is basically it's Phobos is I really like Phobos. They're not Kydex, they're just plastic, but they've got right here a little retention screw that you can tighten right here where the trigger guard is and all that. You can tighten or loosen however you want to. But yes, they do they will do a really good job for like 20-25 bucks. You can really Phobos make some good stuff for the price for sure. We do have a question from Mad Sexy out there, and this is going to be open to anyone in the panel because I don't really want to go through this because some of you may or may not have experience with this firearm. But Mad Sexy says, for you in the panel, is a Smith & Wesson SD40 VE good for EDC? I live in California, so we are restricted to 10 rounds or less. And I personally do not own an SDVE in 40 or any caliber. I do have people that are friends and they've gotten rid of them, and it's not because it's a bad gun. I just don't think that's what they're looking for. I think that there are a lot of guns at the same size as the SDVE and are probably maybe a little bit better guns. Like I said, I haven't personally owned one, but I have shot them. And I do know friends of mine that have them, and a lot of them have traded in for something else, or they've gotten something else and taken that out of the rotation. That's just me. My personal opinion is if that's what you have, then carry it. Absolutely. I don't think it's a bad gun at all. It's not going to fail on you, I don't think. So if you've got it, that's what you have, and that's what you're able to afford, and that's what you are going to want to carry, then absolutely it's the best choice to carry. Carrying that is better than not carrying anything. What do you guys, and like I said, I'm not going to go through the panel, just free for all it. What do you guys have to say about the Smith & Wesson SDVE? Anyone have any?
My take on Smith and Wesson autoloaders, so I'm not a fan. But I do agree. I mean, with you that having something is better than nothing. So yeah.
So we're going to kind of start talking about different scenarios, and this was a question from Andrew Faulkner, and this is going to bring in Armenthia first, but he was saying for the ladies out there, and I'm not saying you need to speak for all ladies, but in general, do you like paddle holsters?
Okay, so what's a paddle holster? Is that what you were showing me just a minute ago?
Yeah, that's what you're showing. So you've got the holster, and this is a little paddle part that slips in, and this will go against your hip, so it's pretty comfortable. And then the holster itself is outside the waist, and this paddle is kind of what holds it in place and kind of forms to your hip, if that's where you choose to carry. So I don't know. Have you ever had any experience with those?
I have not. I primarily carry in the waistband.
Okay.
Because it is what's most comfortable and more secure for me. But I also deal with my grandbabies and stuff like that a lot. So.
Okay. So let's kind of start going into the topics real quick. And I want to start with Gary on this one and say, you've said you've got 3 guns that you are in the rotation. What are some of the, I don't know, elements or variables that go into deciding what gun/holster that you're going to carry at a specific day?
Well, I already mentioned when I switched to the lighter 380 is typically summer carry and stuff like that. So, and it's always in a pocket holster, which is primarily also how I carry the Glock 42. However, there are times I want to have other things in my pockets and I want to go IWB, and which case I've got a Celtic IWB holster. And then if I want to carry, OWB, which is typically, like you said, every second matters, stuff like that, then it's, or maybe inside the house, and it's going to be the Phobos. So that's typically it for me. 95% of the time I'm pocket carrying.
Okay. And is that because that's what's comfortable to you, or is that more because of a job, type thing, or what?
Honestly, it's more comfortable.
Okay. Awesome. Clover, I know that you go through a couple different guns and maybe it's open carry or whatever, but what is the scenario that goes through your mind when you decide to carry? And then also what holster to use when you do carry?
Typically I like a Kydex, something like the bullseye holsters I have that fit, in close to the body. And the reason is, at least here, I've got the option, shirt not tucked type thing to where it's open or it's concealed. You know what I mean? Because those are into my body enough that, not that printing is an issue, but it doesn't print terribly bad, even a full size, with just my t-shirt over the top of it. So that's typically my carry is that way.
Armenthia, do you have any criteria that you guys, I know you said only kind of maybe 1 or 2, and G says he probably carries both of them, so it might not matter, but any criteria that allows you or forces you into what gun you're going to carry that day?
Oh, well, for me, yes. For me, my jeans, whatever jeans I'm wearing play a big role in which holster I'm going to wear. Or even my shirt has a lot to do with it too. Because if I'm going, which I do, I wear concealed carry, I want it to be concealed. And I also don't want it digging into me where I'm going to be uncomfortable or repositioning it constantly throughout the day. So those are big deals for me.
Sure. For me, I've probably got 4 or 5 guns they used to have like 2 or 3. It was always the Shield, it was always the Glock, and it was always either, if I had to, the Bodyguard 380. Then I added the PPQ subcompact, and I've got the Canic that I'm carrying now. This is what I've been carrying for the last couple of weeks, and I love it. For me, it really comes down to on an everyday basis, I can really go with any of them. But if I had to maybe go to a smaller one, sometimes depending on where I'm going or what I'm having to wear, I'll put the 380 in the pocket, or I'll put the Shield in. My daughter's been kind of using the Shield a lot more now, which is great. I think it's a perfect gun for her. But the Shield's always a great. It's 8+1 with the extended mag, but it's real sleek, real kind of small. Same thing as like the 42 or the 43, the Sig P365. Those really nice kind of slender guns are going to be great for you if you're out there. Now, a lot of people have different brands that they really like, but I think that as far as the size, obviously the bigger the gun, it's going to be heavier. You're going to have to, some people worry about printing. I personally don't worry about printing, but some people worry about that. So you might have to, depend on your body style and body size as well, is going to help decide kind of what gun. But I think really the main factor for me is depending on what I have to wear for a specific place that I'm going. If it's very casual, I can really carry what I want. If it's more dress up where I have to wear a jacket or something, then I had to tuck my shirt in, then I might have to go with a pocket carry, or I have a shoulder holster, but I don't ever really, I think I've used it twice in my life. I'm not a big fan of shoulder holsters. That's just me personally, but there are a lot of different variables and all of that. We do have a couple questions from the chat I want to get to. And Southpaw RX says, how many rounds do you put through a firearm until you're confident to put it in the rotation? And let's start with G. Over the years, is there a round count that you like to put through a gun before you really are comfortable putting in the rotation to carry?
I don't know, maybe 300, 500.
Yeah, sure. Clover, what about you? Is there a round count that in your mind that you're kind of stuck to?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a proven firearm probably right off the bat. I'm not really an early adopter per se when it comes to stuff like that. So it's gonna have been around probably a year or two, and I'm aware of any potential issues and all of that already. So with that in mind, yeah, I agree with G-Webs. A few hundred is plenty.
Yep. Armenthea, what about you?
Oh, wow. I've never really thought about the actual round count. So I think from
this. If you're going to go, let's say you're in the market for a new gun specifically for concealed carry, would you buy that gun at the gun shop and immediately start carrying it, or would you at least practice with it a little bit?
Oh, I would definitely practice with it a little bit
Okay.
Before I start carrying it. The LCP that I carry, I actually ended up with it because with us doing the concealed carry purses, the revolver didn't fit in the carry purses right. And so I went to something that was a little bit smaller and sleeker, or slick. Anyway, thinner. There you go. And so I actually practiced with it. I mean, I used it for the videos and stuff, but before I actually started carrying it, I actually went out and practiced shooting with it before I would actually carry with it.
Sure.
So yeah.
Gary,
but as far as an exact number, no, I don't.
Okay. Gary, what about you? Do you have a number, or do you go through that testing and practice process first?
I do. It's got to put at least a couple hundred rounds through, and let me add to that, at least 25 of those need to be the carry ammo that I'm going to carry in that gun.
Great point. Yeah, and I think that that's something that people tend to forget. And you're not just, and I usually put at least 200, I'd say 200 to 300 before I really carry it. But understand this also, guys, is it's not just making sure that the gun doesn't malfunction or it feeds and everything's right and it's gonna function and you can manipulate it. That's not all it is. You also have to get used to that trigger. You have to figure out, do you need to maybe move the rear sights or adjust something here or there, tweak this, tweak that. You have to shoot that gun to know how you're going to be proficient or not with that gun. So obviously it's not just about testing to make sure the gun's going to work properly. It's about you getting used to that gun as well, getting used to that trigger. And we all know there are a lot of guns that the trigger's a little gritty. There's some take up. You may not like the trigger right off the bat. So you might have to go switch out triggers, or a lot of guns, actually, their triggers get better after use. So, you just have to get used to certain things with that gun. So I think that putting at least a couple hundred rounds, I would say at minimum 200 rounds would be something that if I would suggest personally, that if you don't put 200 rounds through that, and I do love what Gary said there, at least a quarter of that, let's say 25% or at least 50% or whatever you want to call that, needs to be the ammo that you're going to carry. So if you're going to carry a hollow point, or you're going to carry a polymer tip, projectile, you need to make sure that that gun's going to cycle and it's going to perform well with that ammo. So, matter of fact, when I picked up the Canik, a buddy of mine that works for Century was telling me, he said, "Hey, for the first few hundred rounds, make sure you're putting 124 grain through it before you start throwing 115 grain." And that was interesting to me. And he says it really likes 124 grain. And once you get a few hundred rounds, let's say 5 to be safe, then you can go and shoot whatever you want. But until you get those few hundred rounds, it really does like at least 124 grain. Don't start out with 115 grain. I thought that was interesting. So, excuse me. So yeah, always make sure you get some rounds through those guns for different reasons. Let's see here. Mr. F&H says, anyone like custom Kydex holsters for inside the waist, outside the waist carry? I'll start with that one. I love Kydex holsters. That's the primary choice for me, and that's going to kind of go in. I personally like a Kydex holster. For carry, I like inside the waist. Now, for competition and training, I like outside the waist. But for everyday EDC, I like a good solid inside the waist Kydex. We'll start with G. Do you have a specific type of holster, whether it's leather or neoprene or Kydex or whatever? Do you have a specific type of holster that you like?
Kydex.
Kydex, yeah. Clover, what about you? Do you have a specific, whether it's I guess material? Do you have a specific type of holster that you like?
I have them. Yeah, I have them all. I prefer Kydex.
Arminthia, what about you? Do you have a specific type of material that you like the best?
My favorites are actually my Kydex holsters so far. I've got a leather one, and it's a very well-known company, but I just, compared to my Kydex, I just don't like it as much.
Okay. Gary, what about you?
Now, IWB, I want a Kydex, but I want a leather liner in there. It's to be something kind of on the order of this right here with a leather back.
Now, you come on the inside where it's going to touch your
That's a back.
This leather my body, and it also covers up the top of the gun.
Yeah.
But a liner is when they line the Kydex inside for somebody who doesn't want to scrape it up or something, so it's different. That's like a backing or whatever they call it.
Are you talking about inside the actual holster to where when you draw, it's not going to have the wear marks? Is that what you're talking about, G?
I think that's the idea, but that's when you get like a leather lined Kydex, right? That's when they're going to put a thin layer of suede or whatever inside of your Kydex, where Gary's thing, I don't know what that's called, like a backer or something.
Yeah, I think it's a backer. I'm not sure what the proper terminology is.
Yeah. If I have a gun that I typically like to go with something like this, where it's got the clip, and obviously in the back, the Kydex, it covers the whole gun. I don't mind this. I wear a t-shirt.
It's called the magazine.
Huh?
It's called the magazine. Come on.
No, not this. It's got this part of the holster is going to carry the whole side of the gun. But I wear a t-shirt, so I don't worry about it rubbing on the skin. But yeah, if you have that, I do actually have a couple of those that have, I don't think it's leather, Gary, but I've got some that's got maybe some kind of material that's not going to rub or scratch the skin and all that. So yeah, I think that when it comes down to holsters, as far as the fit and all that, it's got to be a personal preference. And I suggest if you're out there new, just try a bunch of different holsters and go to your local gun shop and say, hey, I'm new to this. I don't know what kind of holster to get. Don't ask them for their opinion, because their opinion is worth just as much as mine is, which is nothing. But ask them if you can maybe pull out several different, and basically go find what gun you have and pull every single holster they have for that gun, and ask if you can open the package and try it on and see what fits for you and all that. That's what I would probably do. Now, Mad Sexy out there has got a great question. It says, what's the minimum or maximum? He says, what's the minimum amount of malfunction a gun can have before you decide not to carry it? I ask because every gun malfunctions. That's a great point. Let's start with our Minty on this. Do you have any kind of idea if a gun malfunctions more than X amount of times in the first 50 rounds or whatever, that you're not going to carry it? Do you have those kind of thoughts in your mind?
I've not actually had that issue happen, other than to know that Pro Mag magazines for my LCP are junk. They are complete crap. That I couldn't make it through one magazine with those. I know that I will not carry those within mine, but to actually have my gun malfunction, no.
Well, and understand that the magazine is part of that gun. So if the magazine's malfunctioning, that's still part of that firearm malfunctioning, because regardless if it's an attached whatever, it is part of the cycling. And if it doesn't cycle properly, it doesn't feed properly, it doesn't do whatever, that's going to cause you problems when the shit hits the fan scenario. You got to pull that trigger. So absolutely, magazines are most definitely included in the malfunctioning side.
Well, basically, I have 2 paperweights sitting here.
There you go. Clover, to bring you in, do you have a criteria that you say if it malfunctions X amount of times, I'm not going to carry this, or at least I'm going to find out what the hell's going on?
That you hit the nail on the head right there. I disagree with the whole premise, because sort of the way that's worded is, oh, this malfunction, throw it away, I got to get another gun to carry. No, you need to figure out what's wrong and fix it. And then,
that's right.
So it doesn't matter if it malfunctions once, figure out what the heck it is and fix it. If it malfunctions 25 times, figure out what the heck it is and fix it. If it's something that's a manufacturer flaw that, something that can't be repaired or whatever, get something else. But yeah, most of the time it's silly stuff. Most of the time it's a spring, there's a break-in period, it's ammunition. Oh my goodness, especially if you're using, white box or Winchester or Remington UMC or something like that. It's a magazine. We've established that. It's usually something silly. So figure it out, fix it, and then carry it.
Yep. G, what about you? How many malfunctions are too many before you start worrying?
I don't worry, but I don't go around buying guns that malfunction, so 0. I don't agree with Clover. If it's broken, I ain't going to fix it. I'm going to get one that's not broken.
There you go. Gary, what about you?
Well, a lot of times malfunctions in a gun aren't necessarily a problem with the gun itself. It's a problem with something you did too. You're not holding it correctly, stuff like that. Problems with loading the magazine, which I ran into with that TX22 when I did that video. Stuff like that. Now on this, my first gun I ever owned, which I'm carrying right now, the Taurus TCP, couple times I took it to the range and had a bad habit of jamming on me. And come to find out by looking on the Taurus forums, it's because there's a little tab that comes out for the last round hold open that it stuck out too far and was actually catching some of the shells as they cycled up. Well, it's causing the slide to lock back prematurely. And although I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, mind you, what they recommend was going in there with a Dremel and just filing the very corner of that tab off. Once you did that, never had that problem since. It's been flawless.
Well, and that's a good point. I mean, and that goes into what Clover was saying is trying to figure out what's causing the malfunction. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, Gary. A lot of people don't understand, especially if you're new to firearms, limp wristing can cause malfunctions more than anything else that the magazine or whatever else could cause. So how you grip it, how you the grip tension. I'm one of the few people, and a lot of people don't like this, but I'm one of those people that say, if you're going to grip the gun, grip the shit out of it. Now you don't want to grip it to where it changes how you're going to hold it, but don't be afraid to grip that gun hard. If you're going to limp wrist it, then you're going to have to understand that the action itself and is going to cause on a limp wrist is going to cause feeding issues. It's going to cause failure to eject, failure to feeds. That's just the way it is. So yes, there are a lot of human error. Sometimes you don't seat that magazine properly. So there are a lot of human error is in there that go to malfunctions. For me, it's one. The first sign of a malfunction, I get worried. Now, I'm not going to throw that gun away. I'm not going to just say, well, I'm done with this gun. I had a malfunction. I'm the same way Clover is. If I have a malfunction, I'm going to find out what it is. Is it ammo? I'm going to try. If I have one magazine and I get 3 malfunctions or failure to feeds or failure to ejects, I'm going to try some different ammo, and it might be just that ammo. It might be the magazine. I'm going to try a different magazine. There's all sorts of things that you have to go through the process, me personally, before I sit there and say something's wrong. Now, if you try 4 different magazines and you're having the same issue, you're having the same issue with every different type of grain and caliber. I mean, not caliber, but different grains and different projectile types of ammo, then yeah, it might be a gun issue. And if you have someone that can look at your gun and say, hey, do you see something wrong? Maybe it's the feed ramp. There's all sorts of things. And if they can't figure out, then absolutely most guns are going to have a warranty. And even if you're buying a used gun, it's out of warranty. Any self-respecting good company that says, hey, I just got this at a gun shop, it was used, but I'm having issues with it. Any good company is going to sit there and say, hey, send it back. We want to make sure you got a safe firearm. So for me, it's one. At the first sign of anything, I'm at least going through in my head what could be the issue. And a lot of times you're right, Gary, it is human error. But there are times when it's just a bad gun sometimes. We have friends of ours that have gone through guns that are just trash. And it is what it is. Let's see here. Mad Sexy wants to know, was it Mad Sexy or was it? Oh, unknown user out there says he gets a lot of flack for using sticky holsters like the DeSantis Superfly with his LC9S or LCR. What's your view of sticky holsters and pocket carry in general? Well, I'll start out with this one. I have never used a sticky holster. So I personally don't know. I do have friends that do use. I think Klinger's got one that a couple of my buddies use. They seem to like it for their LCRs or LCPs or the bodyguards, little 380s. They seem to like them pretty easily, especially if you got to maybe tuck a shirt or something. Some people seem to like that. I personally, I've never used a sticky holster. Now for pocket carry, I am not a huge fan of pocket carry. Unless I have certain situations where I have to dress up and I have to tuck my shirts in or whatever, then I have no problem with pocket. I just personally choose not to pocket carry unless I'm kind of forced to do that. And I want to open this up to the panel and just don't step on either's toes. But anybody have any experience with sticky holsters at this point? I know, Gary, I think you do, don't you?
Yeah, I have quite a bit. I've actually got several with the Sticky Holsters brand, which is a brand of sticky holster, quote unquote. And
Sure.
I also have a lot of the DeSantis Nemesis, which is the Superfly is basically a super sticky version of the Nemesis with an extra flap. But they're all along the same premise. You put them in your pocket, and the friction caused by the stickiness of that holster causes it when you pull on that gun, that holster's not supposed to come out of the pocket with it. Now, the sticky holsters, I might add, they market their holsters as not only for pocket carry, but for IWB. In fact, you watch their videos, they will show you taking that gun in that sticky holster, which is basically a heavyweight foam pad with a sticky nature, and you put that in where you would an IWB holster. And I have done it. It does kind of sort of work, but it's not ideal by any means.
Okay.
You better have your.
Do you have any experience with sticky holsters or anything? I know you had something you wanted to touch on about my limp wristing comment as well.
No, I mean, I'm not a big fan of pocket carry. I never have been. The only thing really I pocket carry is my little North American arms. Pretty much use a little leather sheath thing, like for my pocket knife. I'll pull my pocket knife out, and heck, that little revolver fits good in that. So lately, I've been doing that. Before that, I would just just throw it in the pocket or whatever. But it's a weight issue for me. Anything heavier than that, that's about maximum, honestly, weight that I want in my pocket. I don't carry, a lot of keys or, anything like that that's heavy. I'm just not used to it in my pocket. So to me, it's uncomfortable. And that's why I don't do it. But no, backing up to the limp wrestling thing, one thing that I wanted to point out that's important for people too, if they're having those types of issues, is, we talk a lot about muscle memory. And you need to be paying attention to the muscles that you're using in order to understand that muscle memory, because a locked wrist has nothing to do with whether or not you white knuckle it. You can lock your wrist and punch somebody in the face the exact same way that you could lock your wrist and slap somebody in the face. It really has the muscles that you're utilizing are totally different. And once you kind of understand that, then you can kind of work on controlling that grip and that locked wrist in such a way that you don't have that issue.
Yep. Now, G, I know that you do carry pocket carry quite a bit. Have you ever used a sticky holster, or what are your thoughts on that and pocket carry in general?
I don't think I know what a sticky holster is.
Okay, it's kind of like if I'm mistaken, Gary, correct me, but it's like a kind of like a neoprene or faux leather, but it's got some material on the back that when it comes into contact with your pant material or shirts, whatever, it kind of just locks up to where it doesn't slide. Have you know what I'm talking about? Is that right, Gary?
That's pretty much true. If I had one handy, I'd show you, but I don't have one near me.
Is that one of them right there? Matthew's got?
Oh, there you go. Prometheus got one right there. Correct.
So it looks like a smooth DeSantis Nemesis.
Yeah. So it's got some material that will kind of just cling to the material of your clothes to where it's not going to slide around. It should stay in place. I think that's what they market it as.
Yeah. Whenever back in the olden days of 380, that was called the DeSantis is the name of the company. And it's called their Nemesis, but they do it with like a shark skin or like a pig skin or something, like a very textured outside. Right. So it's not the material, it's the texture that makes it sticky. And then the inside was some sort of cloth also. It's exactly the same cut. So it's just a little bit different made Nemesis. So yeah, I used to carry those when I carry a small auto in my pocket, but I quit carrying a small auto.
Okay. Armenthea.
Now I go with a Kydex, like with a suede inside, okay,
sure. Yeah, okay.
Because I want to be able to reholster, and the problem with those are you can't reholster, especially after you wear it for a while. It'll just get squished like your wallet will, right? And when you go to shove it back in your pocket, you're probing all around your pocket with your gun. I'm not a fan of that at all. So for me, what is it called? Safariland. J-frame pocket holster is a Kydex, so when you reholster, it's open in your pocket waiting for your gun.
Awesome. Now, Armenthea, you've got a sticky holster there. Do you utilize it much? I know that you have. I've seen pictures of you utilizing it, but is that an everyday thing for you or what?
Oh, no. I actually don't really like it. I had bought it while we were in Tulsa, but I don't actually like it at all. I just don't feel as secure with it as what I do with the Kydex, with it locking in place and staying where it should.
Are you putting it in your pocket or using it like an inside the waistband?
And inside the waistband, because I've done a video on it before. Women's pockets are not deep enough to hold this. And it wouldn't matter what pair of jeans I have. I don't own a pair of jeans that this would fit in at all.
There you go. Now, Gary was saying in the side chat, do you want to bring that up? Because, like I said, for people out there that are new that may have the interest in pocket carry because that's something they could feel comfortable with, what were you saying about reholstering?
What I said was, if you need to reholster a gun that's been in a pocket holster, you never reholster in the pocket. You always pull the holster out of the pocket, reinsert the gun, and then reinsert everything back into the pocket as one unit.
There you go. There you go. We do have a couple. Oh, go ahead.
Can I bring up something with this?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you think about it, and I know that y'all did this, and this is probably not something women talk about, but if you go to the bathroom, when you go to the bathroom, what do you do with this? You take it off and you have to sit it somewhere.
I'm pretty sure women don't go to the bathroom. So let's talk realistic here.
Well, actually, we do. We have to
Thank
go
you.
pee. So, if this is not actually attached to my jeans, I actually have to make an effort to remember, did I set it down? Did I pick it back up? Because I'm one of those, I could carry a purse, but I don't typically carry a purse. I don't have a reason to carry a purse every day. So that's unrealistic for me. This is just not realistic for me at all. So.
And we're talking about pocket carry. There's someone out there that will have a little 380 or something, or a little small 38 special or something, small LCR, whatever that type of gun that they want to pocket carry. And understand that's what we're talking about is the clothes that you typically wear, unless you're going to go through like a wardrobe change to fit into the carry lifestyle. If you want to start carrying, but you don't need to change you can't change what you typically wear every day because of work restrictions and all that, then obviously you may not be able to pocket carry. I think that if you wear slacks, you can pocket carry very easily. Now, I want to bring Clover in here because he's had a little epiphany lately about he was always a guy that wore jeans, and jeans are very tough to pocket carry in. But now that he's kind of wearing BDUs and tack pants and all that, I think he's found that pocket carrier is an option now. So is there something about the wardrobe and all of that you would recommend, maybe BDUs or tactical pants over jeans or anything like that for specific types of carry?
Yeah, I recommend them on any type, wearing them every day, regardless of carry, honestly. But, on the pocket thing, it's for me, it's the weight. It really had nothing to do with with having it in my pocket, or in the pocket size of my pocket, or being tight, or hard to get the firearm in and out or anything like that. That wasn't really my issue. My issue with pocket carry is the weight, and the weight that still holds true even with slacks or tack pants or BDUs or something like that.
Right. I carry my revolver in single action. Wants to know if I have a favorite gun manufacturer. Absolutely not. I have a couple companies that I historically have gone to because I know what they do. And you can say what you want, but Smith & Wesson, for me, I've always been a fan of Smith & Wesson semi-autos. Glock, obviously, I love Glock. They are not the prettiest things sometimes, but I know exactly what they're going to do. I can bang those things. I can do whatever I want, and I know that they're going to run. Walther has become a favorite of mine, at least the PPQ side of things, because the trigger is so freaking amazing. And I'm new into this Canic thing, and so far, I love this Canic. The trigger on it's really good. I tend to really kind of put my guns through hell, if that makes sense, because I will train with the guns that I carry a lot as well, and a lot of training will go through, and they're going to get banged up. They're going to get a lot of rounds put through them. So I'm more about not necessarily finding a manufacturer. I will do my research and find a gun that I know that is well, and it might be a manufacturer that I have not liked previously, but if that gun reviews well, and I know that it can go through punishment, and I know it's going to run, then I'm really not a brand snob. There are certain brands that I kind of tend to lean to just because of the history and my history with them, that I know that I know what to expect, more or less. And I want to run this. I'm not going to run it through the room. I'm just going to open it up to anybody in the panel. Does anybody here have specific brands that they are loyal to? And if so, why? No? Okay.
Glock, BCM, because they've gone to war.
All right.
What's that?
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. What were we going to say?
I was going to say I'll throw myself to the wolves here.
Yep.
Most of the pistols I own are Taurus.
There you go.
Not that I haven't had a bad Taurus. Most of you who follow me know I have had a bad one. But by and large, they've been very good to me. I trust the brand, and I know what I'm getting with them. That being said, I carry a Glock every day.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
That's the only Glock I own, but I trust it.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing. I know, Clover, I'll bring in here in a second, but that's really it is find a gun you trust. And that's, if you're going to trust your life, then you better trust that gun, you know? Clover, what were you going to say?
Oh, I don't have a favorite brand. I mean, that's pretty obvious if you look through any of my stuff. But yeah, if you're looking for consistency, Glock's where it's at, without a doubt.
Yeah. Arminthia, do you have any? I mean, obviously you have a Ruger and a Taurus. Do you have plans if you buy the next gun? Would it be a Ruger or a Taurus, or do you think you might expand your horizons a little bit?
I don't really know. I've looked at a couple that I think the last one I looked at was a Taurus. Um, do I have any immediate plans? No, I'm actually going through what we have here, kind of playing around and practicing and shooting what we have before I decide on anything permanent. That or I may just take one of his again.
Well,
that's what I do best.
That works. Whatever works, you know. There was something that Mad Sexy had said earlier in the chat that kind of threw me off. And it said that there are a lot of trainers in his county that say, go back to the malfunctioning side of things. I want to bring this up because I thought it's interesting. He said that a lot of trainers in his county say if it malfunctions to ditch the gun. And I would say this to you, if there are a bunch of instructors around you that are saying if a gun malfunctions to ditch it, no questions asked, then I'd go I'd go to another area and look for training, because anyone that has any idea about firearms and all of that, we've already covered this. Malfunctions can happen for a multitude of reasons, and the vast majority of them are human error. So why would you ditch a gun because you're doing something wrong? What I would suggest is you go back to that instructor and say, could it be something that I'm doing wrong? And as an instructor, wouldn't it be nice if you would teach me proper mechanics? And then if that gun is still malfunctioning, then maybe we'll look at sending it off or getting it fixed. But just saying to ditch a gun because it malfunctions sounds naive to me. I don't know. That's just me. G, I think you might have some strong opinions on this, so I want to bring you in first.
Yeah, so he said it malfunctions. So number one, the definition of that is the gun malfunction. So if we're talking malfunction, that's not pilot error or whatever. So when you're shooting a gun to see if it works, you're looking for not just like a void in the metal or like a bad pour, but you're looking for, like, tolerance slop or whatever they call tolerance buildup, where, some particularity about something, everything's off and that gun's just not working. So I understand what Clover's saying. And if you're like gonna shade tree mechanic some gun for the range, who cares? But if we're talking specifically a carry gun, I feel like I'd want a gun that came out of the factory to me with only manipulations I've done to enhance it. And yeah, I don't want a gun that I've had to fiddle with or nurse. I mean, a lemon, the definition of a lemon is a gun that gives you random weird problems. So if a gun is going to give you random weird problems because of tolerances or because of a weird situation you don't narrow down immediately, then what's to say you're not going to run into that problem with Murphy's Law right when you need that thing all the time? So no, I'd want a gun that can come off the shelf, run flawlessly like it's supposed to, comfortably go in my holster. And again, it's easy to blow things off, but people that don't put forethought into what happens at a lethal force incident and after, when you go to court and you're talking about how you're shade tree mechanic in your trigger system, I don't want that. I don't want an attorney to have that angle. Like, my gun came from a company and it's in my holster. If I did something to it, it's to enhance performance, not to make it work or to get it to work, or I followed some instructions, something with a tool. No way.
Anybody have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, you can have manufacturing issues. It doesn't mean that that gun's a piece of junk, though.
The gun that you're going to carry for your life and your family and your fortune and your reputation and your freedom for the rest of your life all depend on it. I don't care if a gun's usually good or sometimes good. I'm not fixing a bad gun. I'm saying I'd get another one. It's a dime a dozen.
Well, I mean, are you talking about getting the same, another of the same exact gun? Or are you talking about moving away from it altogether?
I mean, what are we talking about? The Zip 22?
Well, okay, here's the thing. Okay, there's Glocks that have issues. It does happen.
Well, I'm not going to nurse a Glock with an issue. I'm going to go get another Glock from Glock that has no issues, because it's going to come off the shelf with no issues. I'm not going to have my gun. Like I'm not going to go to court with my gun with a Band-Aid on it because I didn't feel like taking it back and getting another one.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I was trying to figure out where you were standing. I was wanting to make sure that you're like, oh, this Glock had a problem. It was 1 in 5 million produced that had some kind of a problem. I'm going to go buy a SIG now. You know?
No.
Yeah. That's all.
There you go. Let's see here. Gun loving Grandpa Stanley out there says, have you or the panel ever had a day where your holster didn't feel right, no matter what you do to fix it? I'll start out. Absolutely. There are days all the time. You know, I've when I say I've got drawers, I literally have like 3 or 4 like drawers full of holsters. I've kind of got them separated into areas that I know what they're for, what gun and all of that. But yeah, there are days that I'll put my holster on, like, oh, that doesn't feel right, and maybe adjust a little bit and say, well, what that's going on doesn't feel right. I'll go get a different holster until I find one, and if I just can't seem to find one, then I'll go to a different gun. It's just like, yeah, I have days where the holster that I prefer to carry with just doesn't feel right. It might be the pants, or it might be whatever the variables are. It just might be that day. I might be bloated. I might have gained a few pounds, and my pants are fitting a little tighter or something. I don't know. But yes, there are days. Anybody else in here? I want to kind of open up. Anybody else in here? Have you had issues with holsters where you've had to change out no matter, you know, what you've done to try it? They are not going to work that day?
Yes, and you hit it exactly right. Because being bloated, females especially have that issue, be it at that time of the month, close to it, whatever. You know, you just feel fat that day. Nothing just seems to fit right. Females go through this wide range of things. So, yes, absolutely. That's why you have a multitude and you find the one that fits for you that day.
Anybody else? I mean, I'm sure everyone's probably gone through that eventually in their lives. They've had a day where the holster just doesn't feel right. Gary, have you ever had that go on at work or whatever?
Oh yeah. Well, I can't carry at work, obviously, but yeah, I've had that happen where just for some reason you try this, it's like that don't feel right. A lot of times you'll try IWB, and for whatever reason, it's just hurting you. I don't know why. You'll switch to something else. It does happen. It's gonna happen. So,
yeah. I want to kind of go in real quick, and I want to start talking about different styles, because this went into what kind of, someone asked earlier, what's your favorite, you know, material? And I think Kydex is one of those that is so nice right now because it's lightweight. You can do so many different things. But as far as like leather holsters, I don't have a whole lot of experience with leather holsters. And I want to sound naive in this, and I probably am, but when I think of leather holsters, I think of, you know, big revolvers, and that's kind of what the revolver game is about, is a leather holster. And I'm not a big revolver guy, so I've never owned a leather holster. Have you guys ever had use of leather holsters? And aside from revolvers, are they something that are stable enough for someone who's beginning with carrying? Let's start with G. Leather holsters, your experiences with them.
Never leather. I'm not a fan of leather. It's for olden days.
Yeah. Clover, what about you? Leather holsters?
I don't have a problem with them. They need to be cared for and monitored and that sort of stuff, of course, especially if they get a lot of use. But yeah, I don't have a problem with them. cowboy action revolver or otherwise.
Okay. All right. Gary, your experience with leather holsters at all?
Never owned one.
Okay. All right. Arminthia, what about you? Leather holster?
I have one, and I mean, it's really nice. I'm not a huge fan of it. No matter how I tend to wear it, I get that response, Mom, are you carrying today? I can tell. So it's just, I don't feel comfortable with it.
I had a text come in a little while ago. Unfortunately, they didn't leave their name on who it is, so I don't know who it is. So if you just send me a text, I apologize. I don't know who it is. But the question is, hold on. Sorry, let me go back to this one. Anyways, the question is, when you decide where to carry, I'm assuming maybe what position, do holsters play a part of that, and do guns play a part of where you carry? I'll start out by saying absolutely. I'm not a big appendix carry person. Okay. So for me, it just feels weird. I don't like appendix carry. A lot of people say it's really, really comfortable. For me, it's just it doesn't fit. Maybe because I'm using the wrong size or wrong type of gun for appendix carry with. I'm not the tallest guy in the world, as most people know, but appendix carry. So for me, I carry at about 4 o'clock, 4 to 5 o'clock on my hip. And so depending upon if I'm going inside the waist or outside the waist, for me, it really just comes down to the weight, the size of the gun, the weight. But I'm not going to go with a full size, Deagle or something. But I can go with a good solid subcompact, a 3.5 to 4 inch, probably at the most barrel is probably what I'm looking at. Maybe a Glock 19 size gun. I wouldn't carry inside the waist a 17 or anything bigger than that, but a Glock 19, I would sit there and say I could carry that size gun or smaller inside the waist. So absolutely, for me, yes, the type of holster, the type of gun is going to definitely be part of the decision processes of what position I carry. Does anybody here appendix carry at least maybe on a regular basis?
I do.
Okay, so does the gun or holster have anything to do with appendix carry for you?
Well, the only thing I carry appendix carry is the Ruger LCP. That's the only thing I appendix carry.
Okay,
Now,
can I ask you why that's the only gun you carry appendix?
because with the revolver, the holster that I use for that actually belongs to my husband, and it's actually an outside the waistband, or I have to carry that revolver within my corset holster. So I actually don't have an in the waistband holster for that one.
I got you. Would you carry that if you could find a good appendix or inside the waistband holster for that? Would you carry that appendix?
I don't think so, and I think it's because it's wider. It's a wider gun. The thickness of it would add to inside the waistband with my pants, and it would make it a little more uncomfortable with my jeans. So probably not.
Anybody else have much experience with appendix carry? Gary or G or Clover?
I haven't, but I carry it inside of my body.
Okay.
I've carried it once upon a time. I carried appendix for a little while. It just, for me, the mobility factor with appendix, there's a lot of chatter in the chat out there about, oh, if you sit down or if you bend over, if you do this or you do that, and all that's depending on body type and that sort of thing. Of course, that's not going to affect everybody, but I found out well within the course of a year. I'd say when I first started carrying, that's sort of what you kind of seen everybody do. It's almost like at that time there was a fad of appendix carry or something, and so that's just what I did. And within, like I said, within a year, I had moved on. I was like, okay, I'm done with that because it's just not comfortable. It's okay if you're standing or walking around, but anything else, it kind of sucks.
Now Daniel Pfeiffer, DT out there, DTP, says he's not a fan of switching carrying positions. Ever have that oh shit moment when you reach for your keys or wallet and they're in the wrong pocket? Imagine with your carry gun. That's a really good point. And that's kind of where I don't go to the same position because of that reason, at least consciously, maybe subconsciously that it is. I just go there because it's comfortable for me. But once I found that position that I like, which is that kind of 4 or 5 o'clock, that's where I carry everything, whether it's inside the waist or outside the waist. And yes, if you're going to practice that way, you're going to dry fire that way, you're going to practice your draw that way, you're going to train that way, it is probably smart to at least find a position that you like and kind of stick with that. Now, if you do like several different positions, whether it's pocket carry, appendix, and hip, then please practice all of those positions that you might carry, because you want to be proficient at the draw, because a lot of people understand that the draw is just as important of than pulling the trigger when it comes to a self-defense shoot. If you have trouble getting that gun out of the holster and presenting and getting a good sight picture, it doesn't matter how well you pull a trigger. That draw is crucial. So make sure no matter where you carry, what position you're practicing. And if you like 2 or 3 different positions, and it might go between which gun you are. If you're going to carry this gun, you like to be at an appendix. If you like this gun, it might be pocket. If you have this gun that day, it's going to be on the waist. That's fine. Make sure you're practicing those. That's just me personally. Anybody have any ideas or things you want to say about finding one position or one spot and sticking to it?
There's definitely merit to that, but some of us like to switch it up, or as we've already talked about, some of us at certain times may be wearing clothing or something that doesn't allow it. So it's one of those things where I do agree that that's optimal, but I don't believe it's absolutely necessary either. I think that if you train, I think there is a certain awareness when, especially if you're used to, if you have, let's say you have 3 different positions, depending on the situation of the firearm, you have 3 different positions that you carry in. I think that muscle memory, and I think you're going to be able to recognize fairly quickly which position you're carrying in, and muscle memory can take over from there. And I'm speculating, of course, because you would have to be in a situation to prove that's the case, and I've never been in that situation, but I would like to think that's what would happen.
Yeah. Anybody else on different positions versus sticking to one? No. Okay. So I've got a couple quick fire questions. We're going to start doing this. And I got 2 of them, and one of them just kind of got brought up just a second ago. So I'm a little pissed off about that. So Misha, you done pissed me off, girl. No, I'm just kidding. So we're going to go through the panel and we're going to answer yes or no. And then if you want to, why you answered that. Okay. So the first question, we're going to start with Arminthia. Is ankle carry yes or no, and why?
No, because I don't have jeans that would ever cover that.
Okay. Gary, ankle carry yes or no, and why?
No, because when you get to be old and fat, bending down that way isn't as easy as it used to be.
Right. G-Webs, ankle carry, what say you?
Yeah, definitely. It's a must. And just as easy as stretching and getting down there, and you're sitting down, you're halfway there anyway. And half the time you're in a gunfight because you're on your back with stars, and you're coming out of a blackout. So when you're rolling around on the ground, your feet are right there also.
Good point. Clover, ankle carry?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
I agree. I mean, especially, a lot of times you go out, you think about, I don't know, going if somebody barges into a restaurant or something like that. Yeah, movie theater. Your setting, it's right there. It's you don't have to get down, and even in a situation, most of the time, my thinking when an event is going to occur, it's going to be optimal for me to try to find some type of cover, and in that process, I could be going down. Now, I will say this: I have found it much easier with the whole tactical pants, slacks, whatever BDU thing, to get to ankle carry rather than jeans. So if you are a jeans wearer, it might not be the best thing for you.
Yep, I agree. For me, yeah, I really do like ankle carry. Matter of fact, that's basically how I carry my Smith & Wesson 380, the little bodyguard, is ankle carry. I use it as my backup. This is for me, and I might upset some people out there. I personally don't suggest, this is just my opinion, take it for what it is. I don't suggest that ankle carry as a primary position. I think that if you've got something on your upper leg, somewhere in that torso, that core area of your body that could be your primary, then that's obviously the optimal place. If an ankle holster is the only place because of job having to tuck your shirts or whatever, ankle carry is the only place that you can carry for your primary, then absolutely it's fine. I love ankle carry for a backup gun, and that's basically where I carry my backup gun all the time is on my ankle. I do love it and all of that. So absolutely, I'm a fan for ankle carry. Now, also it helps that I'm short. So someone like G, who's 9 feet tall, that's a long way for him to reach down to that ankle. But for me, who's like 3'8", I'm already halfway there to the ground, so I don't have to reach over very far and use my ankle holster. But
Now,
can I address the sexist nature of the chat right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a lot of us guys that wear stretchy pants, and you can still ankle carry in stretchy pants. You just got to wear UGG boots.
There you go.
That's true. That's true. You can fit them inside the boot itself. Yes, absolutely, you can.
And then that also makes it easier to get that UGG boot up to you because you got them stretchy yoga pants on.
Or a good pair of cowboy boots. That could work as well. I think yoga pants and cowboy boots is a hell of a look. I really do.
Now with ankle carry, where do you? Well, let's get into this maybe. Where? What position when you ankle carry? Because I have a theory on best position.
Is that what you're talking about? Inside or outside? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, strong leg or weak leg, or strong hand side or weak leg side.
Strong leg, outside.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I like weak hand inside. And my theory behind that is when you're going down for it, you'll go down on that. I'm right-handed. So we were talking about left ankle inside. When I'm going down for it, I'm going to be going down on my right knee, which is already proper form for shooting from a kneeling position. My right knee is down. So when I draw, I'm able to draw, and I could actually fire from a proper shooting position with my right knee on the ground.
Well, and then
protection of banging it up against stuff too.
Beyond that, just regular old dudes going to the knee. You're not just jumping up in the air and folding your knees and slamming down on the ground, right? So you're going to be grabbing a table or something and going down. So yeah, drop your shooting knee, and then that brings your non-shooting leg knee up in the air. And what you do is basically on the way down, you grab your knee, a non-shooting knee, and you pull up on your pants. Like you pull on your pants at your knee and pull up. Yep. So now you're, what do you call it? Exposing it, and then it's right there. Yep. And then the other bonus is to balance it out. You wear your tourniquet. And,
I was just thinking that.
The other leg.
Yeah, no, all those are very valid points for me. That's kind of where I've always put it. And in that situation where if I was to go to a knee and my shooting knee's on the ground, and I'm aiming in with my primary and I run out of ammo or whatever, all I have to do at that point is reach down on the outside of my strong with my strong hand, pull out a holster, and I'm back in the game. So, like I said, there are great points, and I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think that you have to figure out what's comfortable for you, what's the best tactical, if you want to call it, advantage that different positions do. Now, I could sit there and say that I could see myself going weak leg inside. That would probably be the second place that I'd go. Is if I didn't go strong leg outside, I could see myself going weak leg inside. That would make obvious sense for me. So yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's a wrong answer. It's just kind of figure out what you guys like personally, for sure. Now Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer for that. And all of this is just our opinions. Please do your own research. Please do your own practice. Whatever is best for you. Please do not listen to us and say, well, because these guys said this, I want to do that. We're just giving you suggestions and some experiences that we've had that might be able to help you guys if you're out there and you're new and you have questions. So by no means take us as the gospel. We're just giving you our opinions and our experiences and why we choose different things. And right there is a perfect example. Two different people have different places and ways they like to carry, and for specific reasons. And that's the beautiful thing about what we do is it's got to fit right for you. Okay, the second question, we're going to start on Clover's end this time. Shoulder holster, yes or no, and why?
No.
Okay.
But because of the concealment of it, I mean, I'm in Texas, and so you really want to wear an overshirt or windbreaker or something like that, and then depending on the design of the holster itself, are you talking about vertical, horizontal, potentially flagging everybody you walk by? Yeah, I don't like the idea.
Yep. G, shoulder holster. What do you think?
I don't know what else you're supposed to do in a robe, so yes.
There you go.
That's a valid point.
Valid point. That hadn't crossed my mind, but yeah, you're right. Sure. Gary, shoulder holster. What do you think?
Well, I've never tried one, but it doesn't sound comfortable, and I'm not the most limber person in the world, so I'd say no.
Okay. Arminthia, what about you?
No, but just because I don't know that I'm at that comfort level yet.
Okay. For me, kind of, and I'll say this, I think Gary just said it may not be that comfortable. I've got one that actually is pretty comfortable. And I think it's really, I mean, there are some cheap ones out there and there's some really high dollar. If you can find one, there are ones out there that are relatively comfortable, at least for me. I don't utilize it very often. As a matter of fact, I think I've used it twice in my life, but I do have one and I don't even know why. I'm sure I got it for a specific scenario that I was going to have to wear a suit for a few days or something like that. And whatever, I'm sure I got it for a reason, or maybe I just wasted money. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I got it for a specific reason, and it was relatively comfortable. But I wouldn't want to use it unless I was someone who wore a sport coat or a suit literally every day. But then again, you're talking about the concealment side. When you're walking, unless it's back here a little bit, people are going to be able to walk around and might be able to see it. Might scare some people. And all that might want. If you want to look like a cop, you look like Miami Vice, and hell, go for it, man. But I would just say this, and I've said this on many different chats before. As far as shoulder holsters, this is my personal opinion. I suggest that if you're going to use a shoulder holster, go with a vertical shoulder holster. A lot of people sit there and say, well, you might shoot your leg. Well, I might shoot my leg if I'm an idiot. But chances are, if I practice, I'm not going to shoot my leg. But I'd much rather have the opportunity to shoot in the ground than literally anyone that's behind me. If you go that horizontal shoulder holster and that gun's facing that way, you literally are flagging anyone that's behind you. So that's just me. Anybody have anything on shoulder holsters as far as if you do them, would you say vertical or horizontal? Anyone want to rebut what I said about not going horizontal?
I think definitely I'm going to agree with you, but then add something. I think definitely horizontal is better, but horizontal also presents a situation where your draw is not natural, and you're going to be potentially flagging. Yeah, you're potentially going to be. Yeah, if you go vertical, and you're on the draw, you're still going to be flagging people.
Yeah.
So it's a double rebuttal because you're both wrong. So first off, you don't think there's enough regular old holster manufacturers out there that if it was true that shoulder holsters were so dangerous that every single time that something happened, they'd be all over it. Look and see how dangerous they are. Now, realistically, when's the last time you heard of an actual problem versus everybody says that's a problem? So
I'm not even saying it's a problem, and I'm not saying that it is a problem. I'm just saying that that's just me. I would prefer if I'm walking behind someone and for some reason they're wearing their shoulder holster out, open carry or whatever. I would get a little nervous because I don't know that person's proficiency with that holster, with that firearm. For me personally, if I wear one, I'm going to make sure I practice it. I'm going to make sure that I'm safe. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I've never heard of, that going.
Don't they
back.
make revolvers that point straight up into your armpit too? They make little J-frame ones that kind of go way up in your armpit and they point straight up. I think there's
No,
mechs that
those. I wouldn't
straight.
suggest those either, but I've
Well,
never seen those.
I think that there's square range mentality and then there's like hot range mentality or whatever it is, where you either deal with guns as being dangerous all the time and then deal with it, or you have some sort of like fantasy concept that when you go to the range, guns are empty, or they're always empty unless you're at the range. And when you're at the range, standing at the thing, then you load them and then you treat them even more with even more respect. And I think that lends to being dangerous. So when we talk about some of this stuff, there's old wives' tales, and there's, what do they call, like when everyone just assumes it's that way, but there's no evidence. Like there's that kind of thing. I just don't. I would think if there were issues with shoulder holsters, we hear about them and they quit making shoulder holsters. I think that shoulder holsters are great when you've got big fat gut or you're curvy weird. Not just girls, guys get curvy weird, and holsters just ain't working. There's people, I've seen people with short arms and big fat bellies that just can't reach across or around. So shoulder holsters are perfect for them. And let's talk about people that are sitting down all the time, like in chairs or having mobility issues. So there's all kinds of practical reasons for them. And I think, the same as everybody's saying out there with the appendix stuff, nobody's really concerned about shooting themselves because it's very rare that that actually happens.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think that short holes are a problem. I don't think that they're dangerous. I just personally, I would prefer a vertical holster over a horizontal. The one that I have is vertical, and Clover is right. It does present some interesting put your body in different positions for drawing, but it's the same thing as appendix carry. For me, one of the downsides to appendix carry for me is just because it's uncomfortable. But the draw from appendix is making you chicken wing, and it's going to put you in a weird position of having to rotate and do all that. So I think that every position and every type and kind of holster is going to have its drawbacks. And I think that we're going to close with a saying is please try every kind of holster. Don't just take our word for it. If you're interested in an ankle holster or a shoulder holster or an appendix carry or on the hip or small the back or pocket, try all of them. Try different holsters. Like I said, go to a gun shop or go to a academy or some big box store that's got a bunch of different holsters for your gun. Try them all, because you never know what you're going to like until you do try it. And you don't know what you're not going to like. The last thing you should do is go take my word and say, well, Ghost carries at 4:00 and everything, so I'm going to carry it at 4:00. You get a holster, go spend 40 or 50 bucks on a holster, get home, and that's the most uncomfortable thing in the world to you. Now you've wasted money. So I think that, do your due diligence, make sure that you're practicing and you're looking at all different types of carry, all different types of holsters, all different sizes of guns before you go rush into a firearm and a holster combination that you're going to use to not just save your life, but others around you. It's a pretty serious decision to make. So don't just go and buy a gun and a holster because the guy at the local gun shop or some idiot internet quote unquote gun expert tells you to. Do your own due diligence. Make sure that you're finding the right gun, the right holster, the right position that's right for you and your needs and your lifestyle. Because ultimately, that's what's going to come down to is everyone has their own ways, their own reasons to carry, in their own positions and all of that. So that's the biggest thing. What I want to do real quick is before we turn the lights off, I want to go through the panel and let everyone kind of tell on the panel, tell everybody where they can find and where they're at and what projects they have. So I want to start with Arminthia, that guy's wife. Where can people find you and what kind of projects do you have going on right now?
You can find me on YouTube, That Guy's Wife Media. I'm on, oh my goodness, Instagram, on Facebook. I'm on GunChannels now. Yay! I have my channel over there. That's awesome. Oh my goodness, I'm not outside of too much of that, but I'm finishing up my very last gun cleaning video. I've dropped 2 already. I've got 1 more to go. Cleaning my AR with the gun cleaners. So, other than that, I think I've got 223 firearms sitting out that I hope to be able to shoot this week. But I think there's rain coming, and I go back to work tomorrow. So
I kind of need rain a little bit. Not gonna lie.
yeah, but
I've
I think they're
70. I have over 70 inches of rain since January. It's been a flood for most of the year, but it's been about 3 weeks since we had rain, and I'm sitting here actually asking for rain now. Go figure.
yeah, but I think they're thinking that it's going to be like 5 to 10 inches.
Yeah, I saw that there's a little disturbance out there in the Gulf that's going to be coming up here pretty soon, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, so we shall see what the weather holds out to let me do. So
There you go. Thanks for coming on, kiddo. And
thank
Gary.
you.
Oh, anytime. Gary, thanks for coming on, and tell people where they can find you and what projects and videos you might have me coming up.
Well, you can find me at gizzardgary.com. That's my main website. It's got links to all my different social media presences. I do 2 scheduled shows a week. Friday night, Foul Territory, that is 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And then the Early Bird Chat, that is Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Love to have everybody there, and thanks for having me.
Anytime, buddy. Anytime. G, I don't know. Do you have a channel? Do you put videos out, or what? Where can people find you?
On Gary's show.
1,000 videos out there.
But it'd be on Gary's show from now on because it sounds like there's presence. Presences.
Yeah, there is. There are presents. He's going to bribe you for sure.
Thanks for the show.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Go check out gunwebsites.com. More importantly, go check out gearwebsites.com, everysecondmatters.com, and obviously GunChannels.com. And G doesn't like talking about a lot of his stuff, so I'm going to talk about it for him. Please go check out G and all of his different places. He is truly an inspiration to a lot of us. He is, to a lot of extent, the reason why most of us are still doing this. So he's a pretty humble guy, but go check out all of his stuff. Go support G in any way you can, because he is someone that is extremely important to not only our community but as creators as well. So what am I drinking? I'm drinking Diet Coke. So drinking Diet Coke. Let's see here. Clover, do you have anything, or are you doing anything right now, or is this kind of your off time?
Yeah, I do a little bit, but thanks for the invite. If anybody wants to find G, it's really easy to find G Webs. Just open up your Google Weather app, find the hottest place on the planet. That's right. Where G Webs is at usually, because I guarantee you, he's always complaining how hot it is.
With the husky,
he has to follow that hot spot around wherever it's at. No, there was a statement out there I do want to address. It kind of goes along with the theme, I think, of what we were talking about. Mad Sexy out there says all the Democrats are saying there's an assault rifle problem, but it's not. And he was saying that when we were talking about different problems with different holsters. The difference, Mad Sexy and everybody else, is we're not trying to regulate how you carry. That's the difference. We're just giving an opinion. So take it for what it's worth. Try it out if you feel it'll be better. And definitely, as we've said a bunch of times, no matter how you carry, train and be proficient that way. Thanks, Ghost. Appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. Thanks for everyone coming out. Like I said, if you're watching this live, thank you so much for all the comments. It's a great chat. If you're watching this in replay or listening to this in podcast form, please go ahead and have any questions. Go ahead and use the comment section. I love getting comments. And if there's a question for one of the other panelists, I will most definitely get those questions to them and try to get you an answer as well. So don't be afraid to use that comment. Thank you for everyone that has subscribed and liking and all that stuff. Thank you so much. We hope that you guys continue to enjoy the show. We are going to have next week on the produce part, we're going to have Chris Sutton with Shoot and Move, which is a training facility down in Florida that we're going to be doing some work with here in September. But Chris is a really great guy. We're looking forward to that. We're going to have Charlie back on the produce side. We're going to have a couple of people. Riley Bowman from Concealed Carry is going to be coming down the pipe here pretty soon. There's a lot of good stuff coming down the line. So if you like the produce stuff, you can catch both produced and live over on podcast form. So thank you so much for everyone. Great questions, great show, great conversation. Most importantly, don't listen to us. Find out for yourself. Make sure that you're always practicing, you're always training the right way, and you're being proficient with your firearms. And if you go out to the range, take someone new with you and turn your camera on. Be part of the solution and not the problem. Thanks, guys, for always watching and listening. We'll see you soon. Semper Fi.